Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And what are we talking about this time? We're talking about Helldivers. Because the player base is hell-bent on seeing, well, there's a portion of the player base, hell-bent on seeing Super Earth fall. And they have turned into a rebel faction, role-playing, basically, a rebel faction. And they want Arrowhead to make it an actual thing. And reading about it, I think would be cool. I'm just trying to think of how would they do it, right? Because it almost sounds like a PvP type thing, but I think people don't want them to add PvP. So I think I don't know, but it does sound cool. So anyway, Helldivers 2, you know, basically there is a group called the Chaos Divers, and they have their own logo and their own like quote and everything like that. So there's been backlash on some of the escalation of freedom update bouncing changes. That was the new update that came out, which Arrowhead now has issued a whole plan to respond to that. Well, that snowballed into an in-game protest from frustrated players and attempting to let the automations reach Super Earth in the game's Galactic War, and said protesters now have taken on a whole life of its own. If you head to the Helldivers 2 subreddit, you'll likely see a bunch of posts mentioning a group known as the Chaos Divers, with this seemingly being the name of players have come up with for the movement among them, which wants to see Super Earth fall, having lost faith in the original Helldivers cause, which I think, that's pretty cool. I think that's if I was Arrowhead, I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty cool. It's like, yeah, that's, but basically there's memes featuring the in-game characters' propaganda, both for and against this new movement in a style similar to those of the Mavalian Creek posts from earlier this year. Someone's even gone ahead and designed a concept for an in-game Chaos Divers featuring the logo the community seems to have settled on, which is a nice like red skull looking thing. And they also say, your eyes have been opened. You rejected your home and bathed in blood of your brothers to gain freedom. Your actions will have consequences. Children of the Super Earth will burn with flames of your fury, and you will regret nothing. That's the Cape's description of the Chaos Bringer, which is the red skull looking thing, which looks really cool. This has put a bit of confusion on whether folks who count themselves among the Chaos Divers are their own separate faction or have essentially joined forces with the automations. They've been attempting to help to capture Super Earth by refusing to fight back. But, there's even some chatter as to whether Arrowhead should add the Chaos Divers into the game as a real faction of some kind, with a majority of players in favor. Seems like they'd be up for this, assuming the group was just a human enemy faction rather than a way to add PvP into the game by letting folks choose to join the group. So they're basically saying like, when you play the game, you could basically join two factions of the humans, which are the Helldivers or the Chaos Divers, right? And I think that could work once, I was thinking like, how could that work? That could work once they added in the third faction, enemy faction, right? So the Chaos Divers would only fight the bugs and the new faction, whereas the Helldivers would fight, they might have to change the new faction where the new faction's on the side of the Helldivers or something like that. I don't know, where the Helldivers fight the bots and the bugs still, but then they would miss out on the new ones. I don't know how they would do it, but they figured it out. Or maybe they add two factions that kind of balance things out. They would have to do something to balance things out, right? But it sounds like a really cool idea, and I like this whole meta crap going on here with Helldivers. I mean, I think that's really it's really neat, and it would be cool to see something like that. Sometimes the community comes up with some cool stuff, and I think this one's one of those things. But anyway, let's go around and see what everybody else thinks about all this. Pat, you look like you're deep in thought. What do you think, buddy?
Well, I don't know what to think about the Chaos Divers. I think GameWorks might come out and sue them if they use that title, right? Because it'd be like Chaos Space Marines, a little too close to home.
Yeah,
heretic
would.
faction, and things like that. You'd have to call them something else. I don't know. Games Workshop or whatever the heck they call themselves these days. Keep forgetting they D&D team keeps changing, or their names or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting concept, but I don't want PvP in the game. I mean, I guess if they wanted their own dedicated PvP maps and stuff, I guess you can do that. Whatever you want in Chaos Divers can be.
I'm assuming it would be like PvPvE, right?
And I don't want that.
Yeah,
which
I think from the article, it sounds like a majority
that.
of players don't want a PvP portion, right? They want to include these Chaos Divers in it, but in a different way, but not.
Yeah, it's like, without letting them be player characters, right? Like you said, just another enemy faction, But if you've ever played the first Helldivers, Super Earth can and does fall. So that could still happen in this one, right? So, and then guess what? It's just rinse and repeat. They find a new home world, defend it, whatever, So, so a new Super Earth. We're probably on Super Earth 47 or something by now. Who knows what number of Super Earth we're on? I don't know. But like I said, I understand the disgruntled, and that's something the game developers have to worry about with a live service game. You piss off your player base, and they're not going to cooperate with you, and that's what is happening. Like, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the bot campaign is never fun. It's fun occasionally, but for the most part, it's not the funnest side of the campaign. The bugs are way more fun, way more forgiving, especially at like the higher levels, right? Like Nick, you and I have done like the top tier one a couple of times, and it was pretty much impossible on bots. At least I felt it was. I don't think we made it very far, but on the bugs, we were at least able to complete like the top tier, level of bugs. But bots is they're just merciless, and they can see you when you don't even know they're there, right? A bolt from one of their rifles comes along from, you can't even see their base on the map, but you see red bolts coming at you, and you're like, where the hell, and how'd they see me, or things like that. So the bots are pretty difficult, a pretty rough campaign, but the player base in a live service game gets to determine the direction of your game. If they're like, I'm not going to fight the bugs anymore, or the bots anymore, and they're going to stay on the bug side, then the bots are going to march all over Super Earth and take it over, right? So I'll be honest, I haven't played Helldivers 2 in quite a few months. I have not even messed with the latest campaign, War Bonds or whatever, and any of that stuff. I've not turned my PlayStation on in quite a while. But I don't know. I feel like it is what it is, but it would be cool if they added the Chaos Divers in there. But like I said, I don't know how well that can cross over if, Games Workshop or whatever will sign off on, or if they even have to. I don't even know if they have to, right? It's not Chaos Space Marines. It's just Chaos Divers. So probably doesn't matter. I mean, it's just really weird to take a concept that they've done, right? Because drop pods with Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines has always been a thing, right? Now you're going to be like, we got Chaos Divers coming in and drop pods. Space. But you never know. I don't know. I'm not a copyright lawyer or anything like that. I don't know if they can even copyright those types of things. Like, I don't know any of that stuff. So it would just be interesting. But as far as PvP in the game, if it's PvPvE, count me out completely. I'm done, unless you have specific maps or whatever, or things that you want to do with that. Because I don't want to fight. Listen, I like, sometimes those games can be fun, but sometimes they're annoying as hell. Like when we play like Hunt and a few games that are like that, that's the most annoying part. It's like, cool, we get to go hunt down this creature, stalk this creature, find out where it's at, kill it, and bring it back and extract with it. But at the same time, I have to fight off players that are waiting to either gank me before I attack the creature, or wait till we go to the extraction zone and they jump you at the extraction zone. I'm not for that. I'm like, I don't want that, right? I don't have to fight the environment and fight the players at the same time. And I usually opt out. We've played quite a few of those. Like we did a Robin Hood one not too long ago, and some other ones, and they're okay for a little while, but I get burnt on them quick. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just like, it's just, I got my enemy, I killed them, and now I'm run home with my objective, and wham, I get freaking pinched off by a group of players, that are waiting for the person who's got the bag of loot, and they all three or all four unleash on that player, take them out, and now, because they're waiting to ambush you. That, to me, that's not fun. So for me, I'm not into that. If they want to make a PvP map and they're like, hey, if you join this one, it's PvP, or if they want to make a completely separate mode and they're like, hey, if you join this mode, it's PvPvE, that's fine by me. But all you're essentially going to do is split your player base. So now you've got two different super Earths that you're trying to defend or attack or defeat, I don't know. Allowing players to be an attacking force on Super Earth just doesn't seem right in their game scheme. So I don't think it's something they will do, but I could be wrong. The logo and their message, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, their manifesto,
their mantra.
Their mantra is interesting, but it's just I don't know. It sounds eerily like. I remember when I was playing Warhammer 40K, and it sounds really close to like the our eyes are open chaos space marines thing. It sounds really close to some of that stuff, and I'm just like, I'll go play Warhammer if I want that. I would definitely like to play a Warhammer game like this. I can't wait for the Warhammer game to come out here soon. I'm definitely interested in that. But yeah, I'm not for the PvP part of it. So there's probably plenty of people out there who are, but not for me. What do you think, Shane? What do you think about having a playable or non-playable Chaos Divers faction in Helldivers 2 that's going after Super Earth?
I'm all for it. Screw people. Kill all the people. Take over Earth. Let the robots have it. They're better anyway. Depending on implementation, like Nick was talking about, is really where it will win or fall. I think having the Helldivers as an actual enemy faction would be cool because you can choose. So if you load up your game and all right, I'm going to be a Chaos Diver. You can fight along small groups of bots, the robots or the automatons, or the bugs or whatever, and the Helldivers are your enemies. I'm not saying PvP. I'm just saying that is an environmental enemy, and you can choose to help out the enemy factions to reduce the control of the Helldivers, and eventually take over Super Earth if you choose. Now, that being said, people are jerks. So I can imagine a lot of people going, chaos. Bring me the chaos. That would be cool because then the developer is going to have to find a way to make people want to be the good guy again. I mean, because once you go evil, go back. So they would have to find a way to entice people. All right, you know what? Maybe we want to save Super Earth. Maybe the Super Earth is filled with virgin bunnies and children and angels or whatever makes people happy, and they want to save them, kittens and puppies. You have to save Super Earth. All right, now we got to go fight the robots again, because the robots are going to eat the puppies. It's all about implementation. I kind of like the idea of making Helldivers the enemy as an enemy faction, and you can jump in and be the Chaos Diver taking on the Helldivers. The Helldivers faction, they still have all their weaponry, and they can still bombard your ass, but that's part of the fun. I don't want a PvP. I agree with Pat. I don't want the PvP. Because essentially this would be kind of like PvP in its own way without actually fighting other gamers. You're fighting territory. You're trying to take control. They're trying to take control. The big difference is that you have the automatons on your side, or for some reason you want to help a bug. Maybe you're a bug lover. You like to hold that bug. There's ways they could do it, and I think it's very interesting to think about. But would the developer do that? I don't think so. I think they have a plan in a motion going in a direction that this would probably not work with. But I think for future use, I think it could be pretty damn interesting. So you would actually have more of a say whether or not Super Earth falls. And if you listen to all the the rumor mills and stuff about Super Earth, the Helldivers and stuff, you're the enemy. I mean, you're invading these people's planets. Maybe it was theirs first. Maybe maybe that bug didn't kill your paw. Maybe you did it and you blamed the bug. There's just there's all sorts of ways I think this could go out fun. All sorts of ways I think it could go wrong. So it's all about the implementation. But I like my idea. Fighting for, you're fighting with the enemy to take control away from the Helldivers. I kind of like that.
I thought of a good way for them to implement it, and it's kind of based off of what you were saying. But the Chaos Divers have, instead of a planet, maybe they have a fleet of ships, right? That's on the other side of the map. And like you were saying, Shane, it's territory control. So if the Chaos Divers take over a small, because they're all like, when you go to pick a map, they're all like small sections, right? Or like little planets or whatever, like small little sections. So basically, it's kind of like, think of like Saints Row and stuff, the old one where you would take over territories and change your color, right? So the Chaos Drivers would turn to red, which means the enemy faction in that faction would then be going after Super Earth. But if you change it to orange, then the enemy faction is going after the fleet, right? So it's basically the two Chaos Divers and the Helldivers, because that will make the Chaos Divers have to fight the automations again, right? By making them an enemy against their fleet, right? Because the automations don't give a crap, right? Even if the Chaos Divers are on their side, they don't care, right? So they'll attack anybody. So, taking over the territory means that you're basically pushing the enemy towards Super Earth or vice versa, right? And so it's kind of like you're fighting against the bugs and the robots, but also each side is fighting against each other, whereas Helldivers and Chaos Divers are fighting against each other because they're trying to take over territories in order to destroy one or the other's fleet or Super Earth portion or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That would be a cool way that they could implement it without having to introduce a third enemy faction, without having to introduce PvP to the game, right? Because you won't see the Chaos Divers, the Helldivers won't see the Chaos Divers won't see the Helldivers. It's just on the map. You'll just see like, hey, the Chaos Divers control this territory, right? And then there's, again, because they use percentages for everything. So you have the percentages of how Chaos Divers and Helldivers are taking over a territory, right?
Yep. All right. So how's this? So similar to what you're saying, but we introduce a whole new game mode to take control of Super Earth. We'll make a dating sim. You have to woo the bugs.
Or robot. Don't
robot.
Don't discriminate.
I don't discriminate. Nothing says robot loving like Bender. So, you could do something like that. You could, be a part of them. Kind of like Avatar. He was just a dude in a wheelchair flying across space. Boom. Next thing you know, big blue dog. He's one of the people.
Right.
He becomes their leader. Boom. Then he sells them all slaves. It's freaking genius. Avatar.
The only problem with doing something like that is you're basically creating, not your dating sim, the one I was talking about.
Thank you.
Is that you're basically creating a brand new game, right? Essentially, right? It's the same concept, but you're completely changing how the game plays and everything like that. So, I mean, it is a live service and live services do evolve. So they could go that direction with it or something similar. But ultimately, I think it's a cool idea. But like these guys said, implementation is key, right? How they implement it, how they utilize that is going to be key to whether it's successful or not. If they decide to go that route, they may not, right? Like Pat was saying, they may not do anything with it. I think it's a cool idea and would be interesting. But again, it depends on how Arrowhead, if they do like something like that, how they implement it into the game would make the most, make or break the doing something like that. They could add that in as a separate game mode potentially, if they wanted to. I think if they do that, they shouldn't make it a separate game mode. I think they should make it part of the game experience. But if you wanted to, you could have like classic and then Galactic War.
Yeah, you can't I don't think you can introduce a new game mode because you can't split the player base. They have 35,000 concurrent players, I think is what I saw or something like that. So you really can't split the player base, or else you're gonna have to change the Joel's gonna have to change the percentages on everything, right?
It'd be a lot smaller.
Yeah, and you're not gonna be able to have to hit those billions of numbers and whatever they have for their campaigns and things like that. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I am not for PvP in the game, but I'm also not playing the game right now, so I really don't have a say in it, to be honest. But I think that you will, if they add PvE, I think it's going to ruin the game for a good chunk of people, in my opinion. But I'm just the one person. I don't want PvP in my diving.
You don't want PvP in your Helldivers.
Yeah, I don't want no PvP.
And I agree with Pat but like we were kind of our ideas we're putting out. You could have a PvP without the actual combativeness. You could make it where you're fighting along, and you're taking control of areas. With the AI Helldiving enemies, and you can battle it out that way. I think it's interesting, but. Will Arrowhead do it? No. Will Arrowhead do anything like it? Maybe.
I don't know. That'd be hard.
I'm still voting for dating sim.
That would be hard to enforce, right? Because I guarantee you, from what I've seen, a majority of the people that probably are playing until you get to higher levels, it's just running map and letting people join their games, right? So if you have 3 randoms in a party together, and you're like, we got the option to help the Chaos Divers or do the Helldivers faction, you're going to have split where people don't want to do that, right? And
that's when you can duel.
But that's what I was going to say. That's when Helldivers becomes the mess that it is, and people just start killing each other in the game because it's friendly fire. So then it's just like, all right, we divulge into nothingness, and
that's true.
Chaos happens.
Chaos. I didn't realize there was friendly fire. That's a new one. I'll have to tell my turrets about that.
Your mortars.
Your mortars.
The mortars need to know.
Yeah, the mortars need to know. The mortars are the bane of our group's existence. Oh, there's a bug. There's also 3 Helldivers right next to that bug. We're gonna still bomb that, and the bug's dead, but the mortars are still coming in. So
yes, we can make super clones, but we can't make AI that can't distinguish the enemy from my partner from a bug.
Yeah, there's no friend or foe in those turrets. There's no friend or foe.
FOF. Oh hell no.
Yeah, it's every mortar shell for itself. The most kills the mortar gets, the better, right?
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's Helldivers or enemy.
Hey, KD is all you need, buddy.
No matter where it comes from.
That's right. Got to pad the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there are a lot of stipulations, and implementation is key with that. They could do it, but you've got to do it right if you're going to do something like that. And that's we're not saying they are doing it. Arrowhead's not saying they're going to be doing this or implementing something like this. It's just a cool, this is what people are doing right now because of the balance changes, and they're kind of peeved, and, they've kind of snapped off into this other faction, created their own
nerfing spree lately.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been on a nerfing spree, which no one likes a nerfing spree, but I've heard the fire, which, I am a type of person in Helldivers that I do enjoy the flamethrower, but they nerfed that quite a bit. And the flamethrower wasn't that powerful to begin with, but it was just fun to use. And now that they've nerfed it more, it's like, then it's useless, right?
Yeah, they went from a flamethrower to a Beck.
I guarantee you they didn't nerf the fire planets that just can melt your health away, like crazy.
Yeah, the fire tornadoes. Yeah, they probably didn't nerf that. Anyway. But yeah, it's a cool idea. You guys got anything else to say about this?
No. I like the ideal of hunting Helldivers down myself. Not players, but Helldivers, and making love to the bugs.
Mm-hmm. I do like your dating sim idea. Let us know down in the comments below. What do you all think? What do you think of a Chaos Diver faction? Possibly, or some sort of faction like that being included in the game. How would you like to see it implemented? Would you like to see a dating sim instead? Like Shane said, date the automatons, date the bugs. Who knows? Take them back to Super Earth, show them to your super parents. So let us know down in the comments below. Other than that, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to like the video if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button. Help us out. Do us a favor. Help Super Earth. Hit that subscribe button. Also, hit the bell notification. Stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. We'll see you next time.
See ya.